call is now
Esta
being
es
recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Robert.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Sentinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Robert. How are you doing today?
All right, I'm doing good. James, and yourself?
So far, so good. Woke a little, I didn't catch that many hours of sleep last night, but sometimes it's just like that. So.
I feel you. I hear you. Yeah.
So I want to go ahead and welcome Robert. He's going to be the newest addition to You Have a Collect Call From, and if you could go ahead and share an introduction with our audience, just letting them know things that you want to know, that you want them to know about you.
Oh, sure. So first and foremost, James, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be on here, and all the listeners who are listening in at the moment, thank you for tapping in and wanting to hear me share my story. So my name is Robert. I'm 42 years old. I'm from San Diego, California, and I'm currently incarcerated under California's 3 strikes law, and I was given a sentence of 34 years to life. For the last few years, I've decided to change my life and be for the better. I got tired of the old lifestyle of the gangs and everything, and currently I'm employed as a teacher's aide in a vocational trade here at Sentinela State Prison. I'm a clerk/teacher aide for the auto body and paint shop. I'm currently enrolled in college pursuing my AA degree in social and behavioral sciences. I'm enrolled in an ARC program, which stands for the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. I'm currently doing board preparation in preparation for the parole board and me being able to get back out there one day soon. I'm currently a facilitator for a group called Alternatives to Violence. It's something that I've taken pleasure in learning how to use constructive ways to not be involved or engage in violence in diffuse situations. So that's what I've been doing, James. That's me,
Man, and let me ask you right now. You mentioned that you're a teacher's aide. When you're employed with the CDCR, do you get paid for these type of positions?
Fortunately, I do. I'm making a mean paycheck. I'm making 18 cents an hour. So, but yes, I do. I do get paid. Yes.
And my next question would be: with that, are you able to keep the whole 18 cents, or do you owe any restitution to the state or to any victims?
Well, of course, an obligation to my victims. I do owe restitution, so they take 50% of all money deposited into my account. So yes.
Wow, man, that's man. So really, you really don't have anything to look forward to as far as those paychecks. You might be able to get a soap bar or two, and that'll be about it.
And
right?
Yes, especially with this inflation, man. It gets rough, and you know what I mean. Having to succumb to asking my family to help me.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
It could feel, in a sense, like as a little demasculating sometimes,
Yeah, you know what? I can definitely relate to that. When I was on my journey and hitting the halls and county jail and whatnot, I think that's one of the reasons that eventually I decided to stop committing crimes, because you had to rely on other people. When you're incarcerated, whether you need money on your books or if you need to make phone calls and whatnot, and my mom wasn't the type of person that she would go out of her way for me. She's her thought was pretty much you got yourself into the mess, you might as well figure it out. So early on I figured that out, that if you don't have people helping you on the streets, it's definitely going to be a hard time.
Yes, it is. Very true.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off with my first question. And normally, what I ask is, what's your earliest childhood memory, whether it's good or bad, something that sticks out in your mind?
Wow, it's sad to say, like, I grew up in a dysfunctional home, so, to really be honest and say that, my earliest childhood memory is not a good one, and it's probably, me having to take care of my two younger brothers while my mom and dad are in a drug-induced coma, asleep, or sometimes, they're out and about, and I'm left, at a very young age, having to provide for my younger siblings, and so, yeah, that's one of the early things that pops into my mind as far as childhood, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah.
I could see that. Being a difficult situation to be put in it at a young age. But sometimes as a parent, you don't really think how something like that's gonna affect your kids. Maybe until years later when you have time to reflect on those type of things. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
so so from there, you said you were from you were born and raised in San Diego. Are your
Yes, sir.
where are your parents from?
My parents are both from San Diego as well.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So nice. And then what's your heritage?
I'm Mexican American.
Okay. How many generations have you guys been here for?
Wow. I've been talking with my mom lately, and she just got reconnected with some of her family member from my late grandfather's side, and it seems we go back. I'm finding that a lot of my paternal grandfather's side is we originated from Monterrey, Mexico, and so so I mean, damn, I would say probably about 4 or 5 generations maybe now
Oh wow,
that we've been in the States. Yeah,
man. So
yeah. So it's
your
it
family
dates back.
your family's been here since probably when this part of California belonged to Mexico, right?
Possibly, yes. Yeah, 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 yeah,
and,
yeah, man.
so growing up, how would you say your childhood was? Like, what kind of activities were you doing? Doing when you were a kid? Were you outside? Playing marbles, playing hopscotch, double dutch. What kind of activities were you doing when you were a kid?
Yeah, well, I mean, me being as old as I am, man, I was from the good old age where, what I mean, your kids were thrown outside and made and go play, and so, just like any other kid, man, I had hopes and dreams and, what I mean, was trying to make the best of the situation that I was given, man, but, I grew up loving to play sports, you know, um, baseball, football, and basketball, man, those are my loves. I wasn't always fortunate enough to be involved in organized sports because it cost and that was money that we didn't have. So every little opportunity I had, what I mean, to get out and play a pickup game in the park with other, kids or, what I mean, the little kids around the apartment complex, what I mean, out there running around riding bikes, what I mean, and, that was like, in a sense, when I reflect on it, that was my getaway. It was to get away from the madness and all, what I mean, the substance abuse, domestic violence that I visualized growing up in my home.
Yeah. And a moment ago, you just mentioned that you like to play sports. Did you play sports like maybe
Yes.
like at your local park or in school or was it just like amongst just friends like on a sandlot?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was all, what I mean. Growing up in the household I did, we bounced around San Diego a lot, so we were never grounded in one specific area for too long because, it was just a matter of time before we had to move. So, yeah, you know what I mean. You know, go from running around at the local park, you know what I mean, to you know what I mean, playing kickball at school during recess and all that. You know,
And
yeah. So
and
and
growing. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna ask you, like, so as far as school, how since you were bouncing around, how was it? How were you doing in school? Did that affect you, moving around to place, or making new friends when you guys were moving around, or did you guys kind of stay in the same area when you guys moved around?
Yes, well, I mean, early on in my childhood, it did affect when I was still in the care of my parents. Um, you know what I mean? They weren't really too too great at making sure that I got to school. So you know, I mean, there was a lot of absences and where school officials had to come and you know what I mean, like, hey, why ain't this guy in school? And it wasn't long before me and my brothers were actually removed out of our household, and we were placed into foster care. And you know, we had got placed with our maternal aunt, and you know, most would think that it would give a lot more structure and a lot more love, but and it did in a sense, but it was still somewhat, you know what I mean, dysfunction. And but it did give a steady attendance at school. So you know, my school grade as a youngster, man, it was great. You know what I mean? I was an honor roll student up until like around junior high, man, and that's when my decisions and my choices really started having my life kind of spiral and taking the wrong routes, you know?
And let me ask you, one of our, how I mentioned earlier on that this is live. We have one of our listeners asking, that goes by Marlene. She wants to know, what's the highest grade of schooling that you completed?
In actual school, I dropped out in the 10th grade, and I was actually able to obtain my GED while I was still, before I caught my first incarceration term. So I got a GED, and as I've said, you know, I'm currently enrolled in college, and I'm pursuing my AA degree in social and behavioral science.
Nice, nice, nice. Give me one moment. My wife just came in to notify me that she was gonna shower. Sorry about that. I
No
think
problem.
I think she was gonna tell me
Yeah,
something
no
important, but so going back to you know what, right now I'm gonna go ahead and take this opportunity and give a shout out right now to the people that are on the chat right now. So like I said, we have Marlene in the chat. We also have Felipe Navarro. He's sending saludos from El Paso, Texas, and then we also got an ICEMAN. Some of these names, these are names that you're gonna be hearing a lot because they tend to come back and they're huge supporters. And we also got your
Cool.
we got your dad. He says, "I love you, dad." Oh no, sorry, it's your daughter's in here. I love you, dad.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Your daughter puts, "I love you, dad. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you." And then, all right, so. So when you started having issues in school, what were causing these issues? What was happening?
Wow. So let me see. So of course, you know what I mean? Like, just growing up in an unstable home, it was just, you know what I mean, trying to find ways to fit in, and being that you know, I came from drug addicted parents. It was like, you know, not being able to have the nice shoes and the nice clothes that other kids had. So it in a sense undermined my sense of value and love and affection, you know. So of course, you know, not knowing the structure and having that guidance to really show me, like, hey, this is how.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
So it was just like, you know, like not really finding my place in a sense, you know, not feeling like I was a part of the other group of kids that I was attending school with.
And I know we're currently down to about 30 seconds or so. If you want to go ahead and call us back, and we want to go ahead and go ahead and continue. And let me ask you something. So right now, we're in the day room, and then did you walk into your room?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I heard when you shut your door. Yeah, you could definitely hear the difference. There was a lot of commotion going on around you.
Yes. Yes, sir. So I'll call back right now.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you.
All right. So, for those of you who are listening, this would be the first time that I'll be speaking to Robert on a live. He was referred to me. He was referred over to me by Jesse. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Jesse Nava. He's definitely put me into contact with a lot of great people. I appreciate that they've been willing to share their journeys. So right now we hit the 15-minute mark, and he should be calling us back in the next few moments. And once we connect, we'll go ahead and continue with this journey. Right now we're in a middle school, junior high, depending on what part of the state of California. Because I know during that time they were switching over from junior highs over to middle schools.
This call is now being recorded.
Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Robert.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
All right. So in school, were you having any type of issues, any disciplinary issues during this time in middle school or junior high?
Yeah, in middle school and junior high, you know what I mean? That's when I guess the warped values that I grew up in my household really started to surface, and that was, you know what I mean, me seeking the wrong type of attention with the wrong group of kids instead of, you know what I mean, really doing what should have been right. So, yeah, you know what I mean, I was getting into fights, you know what I mean, and of course, you know what I mean, in a sense with my associations and me trying to fit in, you know what I mean, to get the attention of the girls I was, hoping to get or whatever. So, yeah, man, you know what I mean, ditching school, your regular just adolescence,
And when you were ditching schools, where was it that you were going, or what were you doing during these hours that you should have been in school?
Shit, just going and hanging out, man, getting a group of the people I consider friends at the time, we get together with a couple of the girls that attended, and we would go to somebody's house, or you know what I mean, just ride the bus or the trolley all day, you know what I mean, go to the beach, go hang out in the mall, looking to boost items at the mall or the stores or something, just madness.
And what kind of items were you boosting at this time?
Oh, man, well, like I said, I mean, coming from where I wasn't fortunate to have the material things that a young kid would want in that time. So, I mean, shoes, clothes, you know what I mean?
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Shit, CDs, you know what I mean? Dumb shit, man. Just dumb shit when you reflect on it,
And during this time, were you indulging in any type of substances?
Yes, I was drinking beer, you know what I mean, drinking hard alcohol, smoking marijuana, things like that, cigarettes, but nothing of the hardcore nature at that time.
And earlier on, or a few moments ago, you mentioned that in the school you were getting into fights. When you were getting into fights, were you getting suspended, or was there any type of police involvement when you were getting into these altercations in school?
Never really no police involvement. It was more like this was really before I started to get involved in the gang lifestyle. So it was just, you know, the area out in is the East San Diego part was where I stayed, and so we would have to get shipped out to a school that was really outside of our district, and it was in an area where the individuals from those particular areas didn't get along. So us coming from out that way, it was perceived as we were a part of something that we weren't at that time. And so it was just, oh, because you guys live over here, you know what I mean? It was just your little rumbles, you know. Of course, you know, I didn't always have the best of clothes like I've shared. So, you know what I mean? Just young kids, you know what I mean? Trying to talk shit, and you know what I mean? And, you know, you feeling, you know, you can't take disrespect in a sense, or, you know what I mean? And of course, you know, trying to get the attention of the girls. So, you know, you wanted to prove to them that, you know what I mean, it wasn't what it was.
And let me ask you, since you know, the other side of town, you know, perceived that maybe you're affiliated or part of another group since you lived in that area, did that push you towards that group that they believe that you were part of?
Oh yes, of course. You know, because it was like being perceived as I'm a part of something that eventually I would, but wasn't at the moment, where it was kind of seemed like, you know, those certain individuals would be like, hey, you know, we heard you guys are getting into it and this and that. So like, you know, so in a sense, it was like a form of embracement before the actual initiation, you know. So of course, you know what I mean, you and feeling lost, you know what I mean, not so much having the attention and affection in my home. And so, like, finding it in the streets amongst, you know what I mean, these other kids that were in a somewhat same situation as me, who, you know, had absent parents, you know what I mean, either their parents weren't around or, you know what I mean, doped up themselves. So, you know what I mean, we kind of, like, gravitated amongst each other and felt that love that we were lacking in the household, you know.
And normally that love that you get would be when you do something negative, right? Like they embrace you when you do something,
Yes.
when you do something negative. So yeah, I can definitely you know, relate to that. You know, when you do something negative, whether it's, you know, stealing, shoplifting, or doing something negative, and you get that recognition is the word I was looking for. Yeah, you get recognition.
Yeah.
At and
Yeah, man.
and at any point, you know, while this is going on, did your because I know earlier on you mentioned that there was some drug usage in your home. Was that still the same
Yes.
case during this time, or had any of that changed?
Yes, well, like I said, you know, after we were initially removed from my parents and we were placed into the care of our maternal aunt, the drug use wasn't as bad as it was with my parents, but I mean, it was around, and you know, like I said, I mean, what should have been a more affectionate and stable household, I mean, was dysfunction as well. Like, you know what I mean? I guess, you know, me and my brothers, we were, you know, subjected to a lot of verbal and physical abuse, you know what I mean, emotional abuse in the household. And, you know what I mean? Did drug use play a part in it? Of course. Was it the main factor? Maybe not. You know what I mean? Who knows what my maternal aunt was dealing with, or her reasonings behind it, you know, but like I said, you know, it had its dysfunctions as well.
So what was from living with your parents to you know, eventually, you know, moving in with your maternal aunt, you know, what were the differences that you noticed between the two households?
Well, it was like my with my parents at the early age, like I said, it was dysfunction. You know, when I was born, my dad was only 17 and my mom was 15 years old. And so, you know, they were already somewhat in the early stages of their substance abuse. And so it just progressed as the years went by, and then eventually my two younger brothers came into the world. And in the household with my parents, it was just constant chaos, you know, a lot of, like I said, domestic abuse, you know what I mean? I've had to witness, you know, my father, you know, beating my mom, and you know what I mean? And they're just, you know, in a sense, drug rages. You know, there was times me and my brothers, you know, we lacked food because, you know what I mean, the welfare check would be spent on drugs. And, you know, the only thing that we had to look forward to every month when that welfare check came was a Happy Meal. You know what I mean? And, you know, there was bouts of homelessness where we were sleeping in our car. I even recall, you know what I mean, having to eat day-old donuts that were thrown out behind your local donut shops, and you know what I mean, we would have to go retrieve that out the trash cans, and that would be our meals. You know what I mean? I recall being in the car while my parents are committing crimes, and that was just us hustling in a form to, you know what I mean, possibly find a place to stay at night if we didn't have our own apartment, or just to get you know what I mean, something in our stomachs, and then the rest would be, you know what I mean, torn towards drugs. Whereas when we went to live with our aunt, it was a more, like I say, somewhat stable, where we were secured in an apartment, you know. My aunt's husband, he was working at the time, but in a sense, they were functional. They were functional drug addicts. You know, they had it together, where the drug abuse was, not saying that any drug abuse is good for you, but it was more stable in the sense where it wasn't occupying their day-to-day lives as it was my parents. You see what I'm saying? So it was like a partying thing to them, where they still had a foundation to be on, but at the same time were abusing dope at the same time.
Yeah, I see. Thank you. Thank you for you know, sharing that that point of view.
Yeah.
So, you know, as you get older, you know, you end up you know, joining a local gang, right?
Yes.
When was it? When did your first did you have any juvenile arrest prior to this case here?
Yes. I've my first actual arrest, I was probably like around 15 or 16, and I was arrested. Me and a couple of my friends at the time were rolling around, and you know, before I actually get involved with an actual gang, I used to be a tagger, and so we were out, you know what I mean, tagging up the neighborhood, and we decided to get the bright idea to try to go, and we tagged up the police station, and you know, we ended up getting busted for that. You know what I mean? Fortunately, I wasn't taken to juvenile hall. I was just detained at the police station, and they called my aunt to come pick us up. And then my next juvenile arrest, I was arrested at the Horton Plaza Mall down in San Diego at a Mervin's for trying to steal a wallet. And I was actually taken to the juvenile facility down in San Diego, but fortunately I didn't stay, and they called my aunt to come pick me up again. And yeah, those were my only two juvenile offenses. I've never, you know what I mean, spent time in juvenile hall, you know, and then yeah, it progressed from there.
Man, and you definitely took it back with that Mervin's, man. That's a story I haven't heard in years. And
hey, dude, I heard they're not even fucking around no more, man.
No, it's not.
Makes me fucking feel old as shit.
Right now, somebody in their 20s might be listening. They might be thinking, "What's a store?" Because we're so spoiled out here right now. With Amazon, where we have things. That we could order something, and some things you can even get them the same day. So, yeah, it's not about going out to the malls and whatnot. Malls. A lot of them have gone out of business, and they're empty. They're definitely not the same. At least the way I remember them. 20, 30 years ago. Definitely, definitely changed. Yep. Yeah. So you were fortunate that you never you never actually had to stay a night in juvenile hall. You were given that break where your aunt was able to pick you up. And did you ever have to go to court for any of those cases?
Oh yes, of course. I was placed on informal probation. You know what I mean? I had to do community service. So on my weekends, I would have to go and do trash pickup, like along the 805 freeway, the 5. You know what I mean? And I had to do so many hours of that. And
le queda un restante de 60 segundos. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Like I said, it was informal probation, so I never really had a PO on my ass, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? When you reflect back, you know what I mean? I think that kind of heightened my sense of wanting to continue in the criminal path because, you know what I mean? You weren't really suffering serious consequences in a sense, And so, but yeah, you know what I mean? The courts and, yeah, you know what I mean? Me getting chewed out, like, you fucking little asshole, you got us going through this shit. Madness, man. Madness, James.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when it comes to that is just the inconvenience. And we got about 10 more seconds before the clock cuts off. If you want to go ahead and, we could go and start off on a fresh 15. That'll be great.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I don't even think I was too Porter shop at Mervin's. But I do remember the store. I remember walking through the store, but I don't think I've ever purchased anything from Mervin's. Yeah, I used to live in LA, so we had this store, and if you're from this area, you'll know the name of the store. It's called El Piojito. It was right there, located by MacArthur Park, off of 7th and Alvarado. That's where we used to go shopping. The clothes we used to get was awful. Awful clothes. We couldn't even. I don't remember getting my first pair of Levi's till I was in my teens.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Robert.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call.
Call recording
Para
ended.
registrarla, por favor cuelgue ahora.
This call
Para
is now being
servicio al
recorded.
cliente, gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello, Robert.
Yes, back in it, man.
All right. So just a while ago, your mom showed up on the chat, and she put a message on here for you. She says, she puts, "Hello, I'm very proud of you, my son. I love you, mijo." And we are getting a lot of comments about the Mervins, the good old days and good clothes at at Mervins.
Man, it's like, yeah, the old school nostalgia, man. It brings back, you know what I mean? Fucking good memories, bittersweet memories, And but yeah,
Man.
fucking Mervins.
Man, I remember, during that time, I remember Montgomery Ward's, Toys R Us, Woolworths, Newberry's. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of stores that no longer exist anymore. You might be like, what are these places? Yeah, there's stores.
Man, a while back I was talking with my daughter, and you know what I mean? I've been blessed. I'm a grandfather now, my little grandson. He's going to be 2 in April, and I was telling my daughter, yeah, Mia, you know what I mean? Like, Toys R Us, and she's like, Dad, those ain't even around no more. Like, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I used to love Toys R Us. Like, that was the best toy store there was, And it's like, man, just You know, being incarcerated all these years and just hearing like those good spots, like you said, Montgomery Wards, Mervin's. You know what I mean? Like those places are disappearing, man. Like it sucks.
Yeah, the one I do miss, man, and I did like to spend a lot of time would be Toys R Us, man. Like all those just aisles and aisles and aisles of toys, the endless toys. I remember going there for like Nintendo and playing the Nintendo and Super Nintendo right there, the display cases that they would have that you could utilize to play games. So definitely going down memory lane.
For real.
So earlier on, you mentioned that you were into graffiti tagging and whatnot. What kind of things were you doing? Like, were you out in the middle of the night, jumping on freeway signs, overpasses, billboards? What kind of activities were you doing in the graffiti world?
Shit, man, all that. Well, I mean, that contributed to my boosting. You know what I mean? We used to, go to fucking the art supply stores like Michael's. You know what I mean? Stealing, or Home Depot, you know what I mean? Stealing Krylon spray cans, like I said, at the Michael's art stores, or, stealing paint markers and the big old, Marks a Lot, the biggest one you could get. I forget what they're called right now, but.
Man, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. The jumbo unis, the mean streaks, the magnums.
There you go. The mean streaks, the magnum markers, fucking, and just, you know what I mean? Terrorizing our community, man, fucking marking up, you know what I mean? The city buses, you know what I mean? The trolley, you know what I mean? Our alleys, you know what I mean? It was all about, trying to make sure, you know what I mean, your specific moniker or the crew that you were running around with, you know what I mean? Trying to find the best place where nobody else could do it, and where everybody's going to see it, the most visual spots. So, you know what I mean? We did a lot, you know what I mean? Fucking trying to freeway bomb. And for those of you that don't know what freeway bombing is, that's, you know what I mean? You're just on the freeway and trying to get the best spot that's accessible, whether it is hanging off the side of the signs, you know what I mean, to the street or the area. And especially the ones we used to like to get was when there was like roadside construction and they're got the little tarps. Man, those were the spots, abandoned buildings, you know what I mean, all that shit.
You know what? I remember like back in like 1999 going down to Tijuana, and obviously, to get to Tijuana you gotta pass through San Diego. And I remember there was this one crew. It's their initials was with an M. I want to see like MD, I think, or something. But I remember they used to have like these. They would like they had like the freeways on lock. Like I remember seeing these like school buses, the yellow ones, and they had like a big M. I think like they had like 3 buses. Then each bus had a letter on them. I was like, man, these fools are definitely. These dudes are definitely crushing it out in San Diego. I don't remember if it was MD, but I know the first letter was an M for sure. I'm not sure if you.
It was MDR.
Oh, okay, MDR. MDR, that's what it was.
That was a big crew. That was a big tagging crew out there in San Diego. Yeah, my daily routine.
Yeah,
those dudes, man, they had shit. They've been around since like the fucking 80s in the graffiti scene, man. Like, you know what I mean? Those were like one of the distinguished crews probably in San Diego, that if you were really into tagging. But also what a lot of people might not understand is that there was two types of taggers. Like there was what that crew would be considered as like a piecing crew. They were the ones that are trying to like, do all that fancy design type of graffiti. But there was also the tag bangers, which eventually me and the guys I was running around with turned into, and it was just like, you know what I mean?
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
The next step, or the prior step, before actually getting into righteous gangbanging,
And let me ask you right now. So you mentioned that transition, or the 2 types of taggers that there was. There was the taggers that were really into graffiti, or piecers, and then there was tag bangers. Like out in LA, I know like there was like a surge on tag bangers, and I think that had a lot to do with Fox 11. There was this news channel that would like they were kind of like the Fox Undercover, and they would like supposedly like go do like stories on, you know, things that were happening in the community. They did one originally like on tagging, and then eventually they ended up doing one on tag bangers, and then, you know, like party crews and whatnot. Were you guys familiar with Channel 11 or any of their of the coverage they were doing on that type of world or that scene?
Oh yeah, of course, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, when you're in that scene, man, you're trying to fucking keep track of whatever it is. You know what I mean? Because like in a sense, it's like its own little competition. So it's like, you know what I mean? You always want to know, and then, you know what I mean? The city of LA and San Diego has always had its somewhat rivalry. You know what I mean? It's mostly due to sports, but it's also, you know what I mean, who's the bigger in Southern California, you know what I mean? So it was like, of course, you know what I mean, we're always trying to figure out ways to outshine them out there, and, you know, and so yeah, of course, you know what I mean, we're very familiar with that.
And once you guys made the transition from just being taggers to tag bangers, what was like the biggest difference, and what caused that change?
So, like, what it really came down to, again, and it resorts back to how I was talking about having to go to that school that was, in a sense, out of bounds from the area that we came from, right? So, it was just like, I mean, we started off, okay, so we're all from this specific area. So, it's like, you know what I mean? We got, in the tag banging thing out there, there was, like, different sides, you know what I mean? Like, being that I grew up in the East San Diego area, you know what I mean? So, you know, you had your crews that were from, you know what I mean, the upper part of San Diego, which, you know, they call North County. Then you got, you know, the Southeast. You got the South Side. You know what I mean? Just general different areas, and everybody had their little crews. And you would represent whatever area you were from, you know what I mean? And so when the tag banging was really coming out, you had like a certain part of San Diego, we would refer to the other ones as clowns, right? So we would be like, okay, them fools, we're going to call them clowns. Now, our crews that were anti-them, after we would hit up our crew, we would put FK, which stand for like fuck clowns, you know? And then they referred to us as rats. So after they would hit up their crew, they would put RK, you know, they're like rat killer. And then, you know what I mean? Then we resorted to a group of tagging crews that started something which was called K187. And K187 stood for, you know what I mean? Clown killing. And when we decided to get involved in that, that's when like it really started taking the turn as a gang. And the initiation wasn't so much like where, okay, you know what I mean, you could write half-ass good, so we're going to bring you into our crew. You want to run with us? Okay, cool.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
So we started like having to jump fools into these tagging crews, you know? And as we started getting deeper into that lifestyle, it started becoming where the major gangs in the areas that we were representing started to tell us, like, hey, man, look, you guys can't be running around, you know what I mean, representing what we're representing if you guys ain't from there. So you need to make a decision. Either you're gonna get put on with us, or we're gonna start fucking you guys up because you guys are claiming something that you're not from. You know what I mean? So that's when the decision to become part of the gang really came into play.
So you guys were faced with a choice, you know, either you know, make that decision, or
Yep.
if you guys didn't want to make that jump, what would there be any repercussions?
Of course, like I said, you know what I mean? They would be like, yeah, do it. You know what I mean? So like, maybe in a sense too, it was forced upon us, you know? Like, and it's just, you know what I mean? Being that, you know, you need safety in numbers, and, you know what I mean? Really, I mean, we were outnumbered in a sense from the area that we come from. And So you know what I mean? Us getting bust out to these other, in a sense, schools where we were in their territory. I mean, it made sense to, you know what I mean, roll with the pack or get victimized. You know.
And let me ask you, since were you guys absorbed into these gangs, where you guys were able to like start off a new clique with the initials of your tagging crew, or were you guys?
Yes, some of them were just came to be like an off brand of the gang, of the local gang that the tagging crew was eventually in, and some of them just, you know what I mean, whatever gang that was in that particular area, they would just become part of those cliques. But yeah, there was a few that eventually became part of a specific gang, but just had the same name of the crew that they were using when they were tag banging.
And when this happened, as far as number wise, would most of the tagging crew join the gang, and some people maybe just stopped doing graffiti because they didn't want to get involved into the gang to the gang life?
Yeah. Some people just, you know what I mean, like they were like, you know, I mean, and it didn't make sense when I mean, like they say, you know, hindsight's always 20, James. But I mean, when you're young, you know what I mean, you're 16, 17 years old, and like you don't really comprehend, like, okay, well, we're out here tagging up the neighborhood and we're jumping these guys or getting into it with little rumbles with these guys that are from the other side. But when it's faced upon us, well, look, you guys ain't actually a gang, but you're functioning like a gang. So now it's like, okay, you either become part of this gang, and then you're like, nah, well, that's not our thing. We're not a gang. We're a tagging crew, but we're functioning as a gang. You see what I'm saying? And then that really had people, oh, well, I don't want to be a part of the gang. I'm a tagger. Not really knowing that, you know what I mean? What constitutes a gang, the proper definition is 3 or more individuals acting under one specific thing. That constitutes a gang. You see what I'm saying? So we were living the gang lifestyle and involved in the gang before we even really understood that we're in a gang. You know?
Yeah, I definitely relate to that. Growing up in LA, the cops were always on us. That we had crash unit out.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
And they would always say, there's more three of you guys. You guys are a gang. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? But yeah, by law, whether we like it or not, that was a definition back then. I'm not sure if it still is anymore, but yeah, we definitely that's how they were able to get us. With being in groups of more than 3. I know the call's about to cut off in the next 30 seconds or so. So if you want to go ahead and start off on a new one, then we could go ahead and continue.
Yes. All right. I will. I'll tap back in.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Yep.
All right. So I'm noticing right now my internet was having a bit of a struggle. But it looks like it's all cleared up. Hopefully, it's nothing but smooth sailing from here on out. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what was causing that. Just because I don't think we're streaming anything else in the household. My daughter is she's still sleeping. She doesn't wake up until about past noon. And my wife was doing other stuff. So hopefully it stays like that. And Marlene put, I know a lot of taggers that ended up having to get into a gang because of tag banging. Yup, I know a lot too. I can definitely relate to that. LA in the 90s, it was bananas. And then LA, it's a whole different beast, because like over here, it's like it just seemed like every other street was occupied by a different gang, and then all these gangs think you're from the opposite neighborhood. So definitely it gets well, back then I don't think it's like that anymore. I hope it's not like that anymore, man. It was bananas. I remember one time walking to the metro right there on Alvarado and Wilshire. And in these days, the cops, they'll just run up on you. Like, they wouldn't even ask you anything. They would run up on you, start searching you. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? And you couldn't even tell them anything, because that in those days, man, all I gotta say is Rampart Crash Unit. And if you know what it is, then you know exactly what's happening. You know what was happening with Rampart and Crash Unit. Rafael Perez doing all kinds of shady stuff, setting all kinds of people up. They definitely have pulled out all the stops, framing people. It was definitely the Wild Wild West back there. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Oh, sorry, Marlene. I saw the question that you asked about Gary. Yeah, we do have something scheduled for you know what? I gotta look at my
Esta
calendar.
es Global Tel Link. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será
This call is now
controlada y
being
grabada.
recorded.
You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
And Gary, I think he's coming on at 7 today.
Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Yep, back in it.
All right. Were you having some issues on your end?
Yeah, man. Sometimes, you know what I mean, this system it gives people trouble, man. It gives my people headaches and shit. So, you know, like I said, the system was down earlier, so I think it's still, you know, as it's rebooting or whatever, it's having its little difficulties.
You know what I will tell you is the service in Calipatria, it's like 100 times worse than what you guys are experiencing right there in Centinela.
Oh, I know, man. Jess was telling me. Yeah, Jess was telling me about that.
Man, it's horrible. You know, I thought it was bad here, but man, once I started, you know, making those calls over there, it was like I was talking to somebody under the water. So hopefully, you know, they're able to get that get that situated out there.
Man,
yeah.
Shit, we experience that occasionally as well.
Yeah, but over there it's all the time. It's like it doesn't matter what I've tried calls at 10:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. It's just all bad over there. Yeah, I don't know what
Shit.
I don't know if the direction the wind is blowing affects like the internet service over there. But yeah, it's all bad down there. Yep.
Man, that's foul.
Yeah. So okay, so eventually, you know, your tagging crew was absorbed by your local gang, and were you required to do anything, you know, to you know, before or during the time that you joined your local gang to you know, be part of it?
Yeah, so I mean, like, so of course, you know what I mean. We being that we're from the area, so of course, you know what I mean. We socialized with these guys before. You know what I mean? We became actual members, and you know, so I mean, like, we started bringing them along, like, on what we considered a mission. You know what I mean? Which was just tagging missions. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Running that gamble, man, of running into, you know what I mean, enemy territory and trying to, you know what I mean, put our writings on their walls. You know what I mean? And if we, you know what I mean, happen to encounter some of them, you know what I mean, we'd get on them and do what it do. And so yeah, I mean, I think that was really our initiation in a sense, and like our man, what's the word I'm looking for right now? I'm at a loss for words. Our demonstration. You know what I mean? That was our opportunity to show what we felt we were about, and that we were worthy to be a part of that gang. And so yeah, you know, yeah, there was a having a show out.
And did you guys ever use any fire extinguishers filled up with paint to cross out the enemies?
Man, shit. James, fuck, we had, you know what I mean? And you're familiar with the tagging scene, dude. We had the fat caps, you know what I mean? The softballs. We had the phantoms, you know what I mean? The paint rollers, you know what I mean? All that shit. And so, You know, I don't think anything about fucking using no fire hydrant to do that shit. That
Yeah.
sounds interesting though.
Oh no, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
man. They used to have these. They used to have these silver fire extinguishers, where it had
Yeah.
like that little. I'm not sure what it's called, but you know when you put air into your tires of your bike, it had one of those like
Yes.
little pieces, and then you would just put air into it. You would put paint, then you would
Yeah.
fill it up with air, and then that would allow paint to shoot out of the fire extinguisher. It was big out in
Damn.
it was big in LA. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but
Damn.
yeah,
Hmm.
man.
Man.
Too bad YouTube wasn't around back in those days. It would have been a lot easier,
Right.
to gather
Right.
information.
Shit. We would have been going viral with our shit. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So oh, my daughter she just woke up. Ben, mama. All right, so sorry about that. That's I gotta do multiple tasks over here. Whether it's playing with my daughter sometimes when I'm on these calls, or trying to get stuff
Hey,
done around the
man.
house. So I gotta
Let me tell
definitely.
you one thing, James, and enjoy it, man. Like, that's one of my biggest regrets, man, is missing out on being a father to my kids, man. Like, so you know what I mean? It's never a hassle, man. So
Yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
it, man.
No, I definitely do. She's 5 years old, and she's at that age where man, she just wants to run around. She wants to color. She
Mhm.
wants me to flip her around, and things of that, and man, it's fun,
Yeah.
but man, it's tiring, man. I'm 43, and
Yeah.
five of those little flips, and I'm trying to tap out, but she's like, no, she wants more, 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 more.
Yes. Yes.
She's like the
Yes. So,
Energizer
I
bunny.
mean, those those are those precious moments, man. Like I say, man, you're gonna miss it when in a sense they don't need you no more to twirl them around and to bounce around on your lap, man. So like I say, man, enjoy it, man. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely will. Like last night, I just installed this projector, like this old projector from like the early 2000s. I think I got it for like $50 on eBay, and I hooked it up here on top of the ceiling, and I have this thing called the Fire Stick, and we had Pac-Man. We were playing Pac-Man all night. I think we stayed up till like almost 3 o'clock in the morning, just playing Pac-Man and tic-tac-toe on
Yeah.
the wall. So
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
those are hopefully those moments that she remembers. When she gets older,
Yes.
those type of things
Yes. Yes.
that we would do.
For
But
sure.
getting back to you mentioned that you had kids. Did you also have kids at a
Yes.
young age, or was it when you were a little bit older in your 20s?
Yes. I was blessed with my first daughter, Teresa, when I was 17 years old. Yeah. So she was born in 1999.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
then I had another one that was in a relationship right after her, which is my son Gio, and he was born right before I caught my first prison term in 2001. And my youngest, Cecilia, she I was when I paroled off my first term, I met her mother, and we ended up having Cecilia.
And so you just mentioned that you went to prison. So you've been to prison before
Yes.
before this term. How many times in
Esta
total?
llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
In total, have you been to prison?
So this is my third time in prison.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
when you went to prison the first time, what was it? What was the case over?
Yeah. So I was still. This is right before my actual association with the street gang, but it was a couple of the guys that I used to run around this tagging crew with, and you know what I mean, we were smoking a lot of marijuana, man, and I had did a drug deal or a marijuana deal for somebody that I had an association with, and the guys that I did the deal with, which I knew, you know what I mean, they tried to pull the old switch and bait on us, and so you know what I mean, we ended up finding out that the specific strain of bud wasn't what it was, and you know what I mean, me feeling that since I facilitated the deal that I had to do something behind it, since they in a sense, you know what I mean, burned us. And one of the guys that I used to hang around with, you know what I mean, he called me one night and he was like, hey man, you know, these guys are hanging out right here in this motel, and you know what I mean, what's up, what do you want to do? So, and it's like, you know, all bullshit aside, you know what I mean, my whole intentions weren't to rob them. I just wanted to go and confront them and be like, look man, you know what I mean, it is what it is. Just return that money or give us, you know what I mean, a sack for free, and you know what I mean, we'll let bygones be bygones. And you know what I mean, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. You know, we went in there, and when we confronted them, one of the guys, you know what I mean, happened to make a movement that I felt was gonna put me and the guys that I showed up with in danger, and so I pulled out a semi-automatic firearm and I laid them all down at gunpoint, and you know what I mean, we ransacked the motel room, and we ended up getting away, and them guys, you know what I mean, they ended up telling on us, and you know, we ended up getting busted, and that resulted in me getting a 7-year prison sentence, which I did 6 years. And I paroled from that first one in January of '07.
So let's take you back to, you know, county jail, because previous to this,
Yeah.
I remember you had mentioned that you had gone to juvenile hall, but you were never actually, what's the word here that I'm looking for? Actually, you know, hit one of the units or processed in. So, you know,
Yes.
you go to, you know, you get, how is it that, okay, so how do these dudes that were, that bought, you know, at this time, you know, weed was, well, obviously, you know, outlawed. So you were selling it or buying it, you were gonna go to jail.
Yes.
So these guys that you rob, or I'm not exactly sure, you know, what were you charged at that time with, but they go to the cops, and what do they tell the cops? Like, hey, we bought some weed or these guys just robbed us. Like, how do you explain that to the cops? That's kind of foreign to me. Do you know?
Well,
like,
it's like, you know what, Matt? Hey, and that's a very good question, right? Because you would think, like, how in the fuck are some guys who are admitted drug dealers gonna go to the cops and be like, hey, I'm doing something illegal here, and fucking I got robbed. Can you help us? You know what I mean? But fucking, that's what they did, man. That's exactly what they did. They went to the cops, and you know what I mean? They's like, hey, you know, we're staying at this motel room, and these guys, you know what I mean, barged in on us, and you know what I mean? They pulled a gun on us, and you know, put the gun to the back of our heads, and they took our weed, they took a bong, and the other objects that they're saying that we took from this motel room. And I think, you know, this guy, like I said, we associated with.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And you know what I mean? He wasn't an upstanding citizen himself. And so you know, I guess despite them going to the police and saying that that we robbed them, I guess, you know, they tried to back out of attending the court hearings, and like didn't want to cooperate in a sense after we're already busted. But the San Diego District Attorney's Office threatened them with a warrant for their arrest if they didn't comply. So, you know what I mean? They got up on stand, they did their thing, and they even stated that they didn't want to be there, that they wanted to be they didn't want to be a part of this investigation anymore, and this and that. But you know, we eventually were found guilty. Well, we took plea bargains, and they were actually trying to throw the book at me on the first one. They were trying to say that we did a home invasion robbery, and fortunately for us, under California law, it states that if you're in a motel residence for more than 72 hours, I believe, is considered a place of...
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
And luckily they weren't, because if they were in that room for more than 72 hours, it would have been deemed a home invasion robbery, and we would have been looking at a life sentence then. So...
Man, you definitely lucked out. Just hours, hours would have definitely, made the difference in that case. And let me ask you, with those guys that you robbed, did they, do you know if they changed their lives, or did they continue down the same path? Or do you know?
I don't know. Like, honestly, I mean, after, me and the guys that I was with, one of them was a youngster. So he ended up going to YA. He went and did a couple years in YA. And then my other crimey, I got the most time out of all of us, because they said basically like I was the ringleader. And
all right. So the 15 minutes are up, and hopefully, he's able to connect quickly. But we'll see, because these tablets, they have a mind of their own. I don't think they work as they're intended to, or maybe it's a design. Maybe that's the way they were intended to work. Maybe they could only handle a certain amount of people, to be on the network at the same time, and then somebody has to end one call so somebody else could jump on. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm pretty sure GTO or Via Path or whatever they call themselves. I'm pretty sure they're trying to save a buck or two, so maybe they limit the amount of people that could jump on at the same time. But that's just pure speculation on my end, so I don't want anybody, to hit me with a defamation suit. This is just pure speculation on my part. And the reason I say that is because it just seems like something every other moment something's going on with the voice service, and the tablets are going up and down. So maybe they should invest more on their servers.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Robert.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, Robert.
Yeah, man, fucking the system just kicked me out, bro.
Yeah, no, the call was or did it kick you off after again when you try to do a new call?
No, well, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't hear it, that it was down to 60 seconds or whatever. But okay. So I guess we're caught up in the talk. But
yeah, we're and just to give you a heads up for today, after this call's up, we'll go ahead and it'll be a good stopping point. So we'll finish this one up. So we were at talking about the victims.
Yes.
On this crime here, and originally when you told me that you robbed them and whatnot, that I was thinking that they were going to hit you with kidnapping, and then possibly a home invasion, but I wasn't too sure on that, being a hotel or motel.
No, well, luckily, like I said, I mean, the home invasion, like I said, if they would have been there for a more than 72 hours, it would have been considered a place of residence. But and then if I would have actually moved them, like if I would have moved them, say, because it was a hotel suite, so if I would have moved them from the living room to like the kitchen or the bathroom area, then yes, that could have constituted a kidnapping charge.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
when do you find out that the cops are looking for you, or do they show up at your house? How does that go down?
Well, it wasn't till the next day, man. Me, like a dumbass, not knowing any better, I head out to the same area where we committed this crime, and I was I was in the game, man, and you know what I mean. And I had came across, you know what I mean, a Kia Coke, and I had sold this Kia Coke, and I had bought myself a new car. And so everybody was aware in that area that I associated with that I had this new car. And it happened to stand out. It was a red Honda Civic fucking hatchback. You know what I mean? SI. And so, you know what I mean? It wasn't easy to miss it. And I guess when they eventually gave their report to the officers, they had gave the description of the car that I was in or that I was driving. And so the next day, we didn't know that we're already being pursued by San Diego Police Department. And it wasn't until that night that we were supposed to party with some girls, and one of the homies that we were hanging around with, he was supposed to come over and with these girls so we could meet up and go hang out. And next thing you know, in the background, we hear his doorbell ring, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna call you back." Little did we know it was the cops. They came and swooped him up first because the guys that we had robbed knew him and knew where he lived. And so I guess, you know what I mean, back then, this is, you know, there wasn't cell phones. We were using the pagers. And so, you know, we kept on blowing his pager up, and fucking the cops, you know what I mean, did their homework, and they seen the number that we were at, and we were at one of the youngsters' pads. And I guess they set up, and so after waiting, you know what I mean, for the guy to show up with these chicks we were supposed to hang around with, I decided to take off. And as I'm backing out of the youngster's driveway, bam, you know what I mean, they swooped on me and, you know what I mean, arrested me and arrested the youngster at his pad.
So how was the processing into county jail? How long was it?
Oh shit, man! Like I ain't even gonna lie, James. I was scared as shit, man. Like, you know what I mean? I'm barely, you know what I mean, turning 19 years old, and fucking, you know, first time being processed into the county jail, and man, it's like shit. I've heard of L.A. County jail. Like, you guys are out there fucking spending days just to get inside a cell after processing, man. And the processing down in San Diego was damn near a fucking. Let me see. I got arrested maybe like about 12 o'clock at night. And so by the time, you know what I mean, I got taken to the central jail and all that is shit. I wasn't placed inside a cell until maybe like 10, 11 in the next morning.
Man, that's definitely a long process. And you know what? And I forgot to ask you,
Yeah.
when the cops pick you up, you know, what are they telling you?
Yeah.
Are they trying to get a statement from you? Or are you do they
Oh
take you
yeah,
into a
of
little
course.
room?
So
Or they...
you know what I mean? Well, of course. I mean, since there was a firearm involved, the first thing that they were trying to ask me is, "Hey, are you armed? Are you armed?" And I'm like, you know what I mean? Me, you know what I mean? Being the criminal that I was, of course, I'm gonna deny everything. I'm not gonna give you a statement. You know what I mean? You're arresting me, so I'm not complying. And fortunately, you know what I mean, I didn't have the firearm on me. And so of course they're trying to ask, you know, what's your involvement? Where were you at? You know what I mean? I did have a girlfriend at the time, and you know what I mean? I had already tried to work out an alibi where my girlfriend at the time was gonna go along with my alibi that had me placed somewhere different. But I mean, all that didn't matter, because I mean, once we were processed, you know what I mean, I was picked out in a photo lineup, and then the youngster that we did this crime with, you know what I mean, they convinced him to talk, so he turned on us, and so there was really no way out of it, man. I was busted, even though I was denying it till the end. It's just like I had no fighting chance, man.
And at that time, did they tell you what you were being charged with?
Yeah, they told me I was charged with I was charged with four counts of first degree robbery, 4 counts of assault with a semi-automatic.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And I believe 1 count of false imprisonment.
And when you're hearing this with these charges, like what's running through your mind?
Just fear, man. Fear. Of course, you know what I mean? I'm not a fucking sociopath, so regret. You know what I mean? Fucking, like, damn, like, you know what I mean? Fucking, why'd your dumb ass do this? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? What should have been my first thought before doing anything stupid was, damn, my kids. You know what I mean? My daughters. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. You know, they automatically, damn, I'm going to be gone. What about my daughters? You know, what about, you know what I mean? Me, oh, what about my girl? You know what I mean? Like, not knowing I was going to go cheat on her that night if the opportunity arose. But, you know what I mean? That was a thought, like, oh, well, what about my girlfriend? And just like, damn, like, you got caught. You know what I mean? Like, you're caught. Now what's going to happen? You know what I mean? And having never really been in a situation like that, like I said, just fear, man. Fucking anxiety, like, damn, like, what now? What's going to happen now?
And did they tell you, like, did they throw a number at you when, you know, when this whole deal is, you know, happening?
Oh, yeah, of course. You know what I mean? Everybody that's been accused or convicted of committing a serious felony, you know, they're always going to throw the max out at you. Oh, well, you're looking at a total of 27 years in prison for this. But, I mean, it's rare, even if you go to trial and lose, that you're going to get the max. But, of course, you know what I mean? For somebody that's never been in that situation, you just hear that amount of time, and it's going to put the fear of God in you, you know?
And when you're going to, you know, court and whatnot, are you asking around, you know, like how much time you're going to be getting, you know, what to expect, you know, what you should be asking for in court, like for discoveries or like what to ask your public pretender, like what kind of things are you hearing back there? Because I mean, you know,
well, you know, I mean, shit. I mean, when you think about it, right? You're like, how stupid is it that you're in a fucking holding tank with other guys who committed crimes themselves, but you're trying to ask them for advice? You know what I mean? But of course, I was being a dumbass and asking these dudes for advice, like, hey man, what do I do? How do I do it? And you know what I mean? And the jailhouse, these so-called jailhouse lawyers, man, it's like an asshole. Everybody has one with their opinion. You know what I mean? Like, and you're not knowing because you're naive to this situation. You know what I mean? You're involved. You're naive to the penal system now, so you see these guys and you're like, okay, well, this guy, you know, he's all tattooed. He looks like he knows what he's talking about. And then, of course, you know, and then the public pretenders, man, like, they don't got the time or the resources to focus just on you as an individual, because they're handling fucking 15, 20 cases of other guys that are fighting maybe as serious of a crime as you, if not more. You know what I mean? So then it's kind of like, now, like, okay, well, who's going to take precedence over what? This guy committing this murder, this guy who's drunk in public, or this guy who committed a robbery? You know, so they're trying to, in a sense, not so much guide you as in what's best for you, but what's more convenient for them to ease their caseloads, you know? So it's a fucked up situation, man.
Or I think in some cases, what they'll do is, you know, they'll trade you like cards, you know, like, hey, like, I'll let you get this case, and but you let my other dude off. Yeah. So, you know, it's you know.
Yes.
It's,
believe that. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you know, the PDs, you know, they got relationships with the DAs. You know, they all working they're working for the state at the end of the day.
Yes.
But it also goes back to, you know, responsibility and to the things, you know, we the situations we put ourselves in. You know, at the end of the day, if we
Exactly.
would have not done these things, then we would have never, you know, been in the system. We would have never, you know, had to deal with any of it.
So
So,
true.
but you, I mean, you're
So
not thinking
true.
about that. You know, when you're in that, you just, you know, you're trying to get out. You know, with
Yep.
the least amount of time, you know, possible, and you know, and
Hmm.
hope for the best.
Yep. That's it.
So the deal you ended up taking, did it include any strikes, or was it a package deal? Or were because I know you mentioned one of your co-defendants, you know, ended up in YA. Did he ended
Yes.
up? Did anybody get bound over to adult court with you, or was anybody with you in court?
Well, no. Well, actually, me and my there was four of us total. One guy was the driver. He never went in, so he wasn't part of it. He was never seen. But so it was me, another guy who was the same age as me, who was actually considered a legal adult, and then the youngster who was 17 at the time. And so he was the only one that went through the juvenile system and eventually got sentenced to YA, like I said. And then me and the other guy, um, he he had a little bit of money, so his family was able to obtain uh, a lawyer for him. So he ended up getting a 3-year prison sentence, where I got 7. But like I said, the reason why they were coming after me a little bit more harsh was because I was considered the ringleader, and I was the one that was pointed out as having the gun and placing the gun to the individual's heads.
You know what? I know we're getting short on time right now, but I'm gonna tell you something. It might sound funny, but you know, based on the picture that I have here in front of me, the one that your mom,
Yeah.
sent over, man, you don't look like a ringleader to me. You look like just a regular guy. But you know, looks could definitely be deceiving.
Yes.
And I find that to happen a lot. You know, with Jesse and David, it definitely. My wife, I showed him the picture. She was like, "These guys don't look like killers." I'm like, "You'll be surprised. You know, you can't judge a book by its cover."
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
looks are definitely deceiving. Right now,
Mhm.
before the call cuts off, do you want to give out like any shout outs to anybody? You could go
Le
ahead and
queda un restante de 60 segundos.
you could
First
use.
and foremost, I would like to tap in with all the listeners that, you know what I mean, took the time to sit down and, you know what I mean, take the time out of their day to listen. I hope you guys come back the next time I'm on. To my daughter, my mom, and my grandson, I love you. I appreciate you.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I love you guys. And again, to you, James, thank you for this opportunity. And I look forward to, you know what I mean, going more deeper into detail, and you know what I mean, to let the audience know that listens in about the changes that I've made for positivity for my life, and that I'm not so much a bad individual as the one that committed these crimes. You know what I mean? I'm making the necessary changes, and I'm putting in the work to be a productive member of society once again.
Thank you. All right, so the call was cut off. I want to go and thank all of you, for tapping in. We're here, to share these journeys. These gentlemen, are sharing their lives with us. They started off, on a bad route, or in a bad lifestyle, and now, through these stories, you guys are gonna get a glimpse of where they're at in their lives. I would say, everybody that I brought on here so far, they're definitely on a different path, and they have a different outlook, and a different outlook on life, and that's what that's what I want you guys to know. So hopefully you tune in and continue with the journey. And with that, like I say, life's like a candle. Once you blow it, it's lights out. And with that, I'm out. Thank you guys, and you guys go ahead and enjoy the rest of the day. And I forgot to mention, today is gonna be like a marathon day, so I'm gonna be having all kinds of interviews, coming on today. I'm gonna have Silas coming on today. I think he's gonna come on about 4 o'clock. We're gonna have David and Jesse Nava at 5 p.m. and then we're gonna have Gary at I think 7 or 7:30. I gotta double check. But you know, these times are might change. You know, depending on other tablets or whatnot. So but definitely be on the lookout for the notifications. All right. And with that, I'm out. You guys go ahead and have a good day.